Leeds United made the most of their second chance in the European Cup against Stuttgart, the team they say has more foreign reserves than the Bank of England. Leeds won 2-1 in Barcelona in front of a tiny crowd. Their hero was Talking Shutt. He scored the winner less than a minute after coming on as a substitute, and tomorrow's his birthday.
Good evening and welcome to episode 172 of the Talking Shutt podcast, live from Kelly's Bar down at Ossett, in a world where it appears that we're spinning off our axis a little bit. We're wick with COVID problems, injuries to key players, but never mind, worry not. You've got about an hour and a half of us talking drivel. We're in the company tonight of the main man from the YEP. Can you call you the main man, Joe? Or is that Graham's title?
Absolutely, you can call me the main.
Yeah, so we've got Joe Urquhart here from the YEP. Good evening, Joe. Thanks for coming down, mate.
No worries, thanks for having me.
This is your hat-trick game for us. You've been here 3 times now.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out the last time I came down, which I'm assuming is probably pre-pandemic, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be, mate, yeah. I'm trying to think myself now. I think you came to...
2019, I think, maybe something
I think you came to when we were living in Gilderson, am I right, Ben? When we were at Get Your Media, first time around.
Possibly.
Before we moved, I think that was the last time we visited. So, welcome back, Joe, anyway. It's
nice
always a pleasure to have you here, mate. Obviously, we're joined by old Ben, who's just currently sharing the stream. And if you're watching live on any of Facebook or YouTube, we've sacked off Twitch because nobody was watching it. Make sure you share it and get other people to tune in. That'd be lovely. So, good evening, Ben. How are you?
I'm calming down now because these last half hour has been mental.
Yeah, so before the show started, Ben and Mike, who's on the other end, evening, Mike.
Good evening.
Got caught in a fair bit of traffic, and there was it was in doubt if they were going to get here for the 7:30 kickoff, but they did.
Well, I've gone from Wortley to Kippax to Ossett, and it's taken me an hour and a half.
Well, these things happen, don't they? In the modern world. So yeah. Anyway, we're here. I'm sure that's the main thing. Fair few things to talk about tonight. Bit of opinion on certain things, and I think the very best place to start is with Joe. Straight in, Joe. We've warmed you up now.
2-footed.
Mate, what's your overarching feeling on this season? Because we've discussed it on here many times before, and we've talked about stop-start nature of international breaks, COVID, injuries, all that type of thing. I still feel like, what are we now, 14 games in, 15 games in? Are we? Something like that? Somebody correct me, 15 games in, and I still feel like we haven't got going. Like it feels like the season hasn't got going. What's your feeling, Joe?
I would, I'd agree with a lot of what you said there. I think when you look at last season, maybe we were all sort of braced for a bit of a drop-off, and we all know that this so-called second season syndrome, blah, blah, blah. But I think maybe it has been a little bit disappointing in terms of the performances that we've seen from Leeds. I think we probably have seen maybe 15-20-minute spells of what we would perceive as their best performances from last year, but we haven't quite seen them consistently doing it not for 90-minute periods, and maybe that's the biggest disappointment for me, is that we've seen, I mean, like you prefaced it there, we've seen injuries, Bamford is such a big miss, everything else that you can throw in there, but I think that's the general form, that it does feel like a lot of players are trying to play their way into form, and it's maybe not quite clicked this year as yet, but having said that, they still are 6 points above the drop zone, which is, I think, fine.
Yeah. I mean, the last, if we look at, I know that Leeds sort of look at groups of games, and if we look at the last 3 games, Brentford, Palace and Brighton, you look at them and you think, right, what's the points total? And I think all of us would have said 9 points, probably, rather optimistically. And I mean, we've come out of that with 5. It's not actually a bad set of results. That teams in and around us as well. So, I think the thing for me, Joe, is that, as you rightly said, it's not really seemed to click for a sustained period of time. And I think that's what makes fans panic a little bit, because we look good for 45 minutes, and then for 45 minutes we seem to go to bits a bit. And this is where it segued me perfectly into Brentford, this just gone weekend. I watched the game back after. So I didn't go to the game this week. My son had a junior football game at the same time in Sheffield. So I strapped myself in and I watched it on LUTV after. And it's a lot different watching football without emotion. Whereas when I'm watching it live, I'm quite obviously tuned into the game, and I've got my Leeds bias hat on, and everything's done against us kind of thing. But what did you make of the game against Brentford? Because up until obviously Calvin coming off, I felt like we were well in control of that game, and it only looked like it was going to really go one way.
I think the biggest disappointment for me was the way that the Palace game concluded. You think, right, a bit of momentum's coming now. You felt like that could have been a potential moment in the season where you think, right, maybe this will kickstart the campaign. We've had a bit of a lull, we've had injuries, and then you get the boost of having Bamford and Ayling back in the squad. The start, I think, was fairly even, and to be fair, I think we see it with Bielsa quite a lot. Cooper's injury actually helped Leeds because of the way that he reshuffled. When that substitution was made, I think everyone was probably going, well, why don't you just swap like for Cresswell? But to Bielsa's credit, I actually thought that change helped up until half-time, which is then when Leeds scored. And I was speaking to Tony Dorigo, actually, who does a column for us at the YUP, and I kind of agreed with what he was saying, that at half-time you were sat there thinking, I'm not quite sure how Brentford are going to turn this around, because they haven't really offered a lot. They've got Ivan Toney out, they had, I think, 3 or 4 other first-teamers out, and then sort of on the hour, 65 minutes, you sat there going, what the heck has happened here? You know, and that, I think, again, we go back to the inconsistency of this Leeds team this season, and it's probably the inconsistency that we've seen a lot in sort of individuals' forms as well as a collective. You look at like Jack Harrison, Dan James, Matthias Klick. I think Matthias Klick is yet to... I mean, to be fair, that's been going on for a while. I think he's dropped off a fair bit, which is a bit of a shame. Adam Forshaw, obviously coming in, maybe last 4 or 5 weeks, have been a huge bonus. And... it was just, I think, overall fairly disappointing. I think, like you say, when you take the sort of relief out of Bamford's equaliser, I think you sit back and go, well, the momentum was there for Leeds and they didn't capitalise on it.
If there was any time for someone to sing the Leeds are falling apart song, that was them 10 minutes. Because we literally did. It was like, even in the stands, it was like, what is going on here?
Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Derby playoff game.
Yeah.
You know, they all just froze in the headlights. I know it wasn't quite as catastrophic as that, but that's what it sort of reminded me of. It just watching the players sort of, it looked like for a minute they forgot how to play football.
Yeah.
It was very strange.
It's a good way of putting it.
It was literally that. They could not, just being there, they just... Like they forgot how to be, that they were human beings. They were just they were just stood there, and Brentford were just running around. It was really weird.
Yeah. Like you said, Joe, about the false dawn as well, like kick-starting the season. How many games have been like that?
Because do you know what the one for me was? Leicester. The Leicester one was the one where I thought, right, we've kicked on. Here we go.
But it happened at Everton, the second game of the season. Wolves as well.
The thing is, looking back at that Everton game now and looking how dire they are at the moment, you think, actually,
they were better then.
They were a lot better then. They were kind of riding on a crest of a wave a little bit. And do you also think we've kind of? And I know you make your own luck, and it's very cliche, but we seem to not have a great deal of luck lately. I mean, their first goal, Shandon Baptiste has got probably an hour to just put it where he wants to put it in that bottom corner. Totally like unopposed, really. And
but don't you think
it's
that
a good finish?
It takes a wicked deflection though, like
to land at him. That's what I mean. Like.
It does. But when you say luck, I mean, I thought we had more luck in the Brentford game than we had in any other game.
Brighton. I'd argue Brighton. More pie.
Maybe.
He could.
But like you look at
poor finishing.
Our goal. Literally, Pontus Jansson heads it straight back to Rafinha, and I'd say that's luck. Maybe Pontus Jansson being a little bit shit, but
a little.
Yeah, it goes straight to it, and then it's literally a brilliant ball in from Rafinha, and Roberts is there to tap it in. So and I think things kind of have gone our way in games as well, especially the last game at Ellen Road. They had a few chances, didn't they?
The Palace game.
Yeah.
Well, Benteke misses a sitter, doesn't he? Yeah. Basically, should score that.
But then, there's been certain things where you think it's just not going for us, and I guess referees are in that as well.
Yeah. Well, cool. Let's not even get on about it.
Yeah. I think every team's got complaints about referees, haven't they? I think.
But the thing is, we've discussed this before. How can and it feels at the moment like it's across the board.
Yeah,
You look at the standard of refereeing up and down
when
the
they
country.
started off so well as well.
Yeah, and it's awful. It's so.
Yeah.
Any game you watch, you think, I don't understand how they're getting this just so wrong. Tyler Roberts, let's talk about Tyler Roberts. He's coming for a hell of a lot of criticism. We've critiqued him when we feel like he should be criticised. Yeah. What about his performance on Saturday then, Ben? Sunday, sorry.
I think consistency plays a lot in everything. So he's played again.
Yeah.
And he's got a goal this time.
Good movement as well for goal.
Yeah,
and
Credit. Wins the ball back.
The game before, he got praised for his movement and stuff like that, and he's done well. And obviously, they needed to add that goal to it, and he did that on Sunday. But that, as we said, with a lot of the players, a run of games would be nice for him to have. And then we're just not having that. So
he's coming into form at just the right time as well.
Yeah. Well,
to play the run.
I guess we'll go on this later, but he's going to have to carry on playing now.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably, with how he's played in the last 2 games, I think anyone would have picked Bamford if he's going to be fit or not. Bamford starts against Chelsea for me, but if he's not, then you have to go with Roberts because he's earned that in the last 2 games.
Isn't it funny how the tide swings a little bit, where there was similar criticisms that gone to Tyler Roberts were going to Patrick Bamford only a couple of years ago, and then he comes on Sunday and you think, get in. This is our number 9 back on pitch, and then he goes and scores, and you kind of sit back and go, God, I think he's changed
15 minutes
inside 15 minutes. Yeah. Would you have been tempted to start Patrick Bamford on Sunday, Joe, or were you quite happy to see Tyler be given another chance after his performance against Palace?
I think Tyler would have probably started either way, given the lack of impact I actually thought Pat had on the game. I thought he looked fairly rusty, and I think he said that post-match, but then maybe you do just chuck him in there and hope for the best. I think, in fairness, I was at the 23s game a few weeks ago. He played against Man City, and he did look really sharp, albeit against academy kids. But I think Tyler, when you're going back to the criticism of him, I think some of it's warranted. I think obviously, like anything, there is always some scapegoats in the squad, and some of it does go over the top at times. But I actually think when he plays as a striker, which he's never going to be a starting striker in this team, given that Patrick Bamford is the number 9. But I actually think when he's a striker, he offers much, much more to the team than as a number 10. And I think we're seeing a bit more of that. And he's said in the past that he prefers playing up front, but Bielsa's tried to mould him into playing 2 positions, as we know, with everyone in the squad. And he's found more opportunities in that particular area, I think. But I think when he plays as a 9, you do see a bit more productivity out of him, but we do need to see more goals, more assists, because at the end of the day, that's what forward players are judged on, and that's what he needs to start producing. There is an element of how long do you then stick with him, but you kind of hope that this goal at the weekend maybe gives him a boost, gives him a bit of confidence, and now he can find that from somewhere, because Leeds are going to need it. We're going to need it over the next 6 weeks. It's going to be vital that someone steps up in the absence of Bamford if he's out for a few weeks, as we suspect, and you can't just be left down to Rafinha.
No, that's the thing, and the thing is, what we saw against Brentford, they went almost 3 men on Rafinha when he got the ball at times. They tried to do a job on him for obvious reasons. You're going to target a player like that, so we need other players to step up to the plate and be that creative influence. Daniel James, that raises some conjecture on, and I can see by the little grin that's starting to emanate from the side of your mouth that we might get a Ben tidbit here. What's your thoughts on Dan James, mate?
When everyone went through that stage on Facebook where they were like putting a nickname in the middle?
Where's this going? Yeah, go on.
He should be Daniel Offside James.
Yeah, and I mean,
I was laughing about that, but he's nowhere near as bad as when Ali Offside played in the top.
Offside.
I rest my case. Gianni Ali Offside. That's what he nicknamed him. That's what he nicknamed him. But but overall, are we starting to see incremental improvements? Now, I'll prefix that with, there's not many players who come into a Bielsa side and hit the ground running and suddenly look like they're world beaters. They all take a bit of adaptation time, apart from Rafinha, obviously, but he's a freak. So, are we starting to see a bit?
Is he actually, though? Because he didn't start
Oh,
the
he's-
first
no,
6
true,
weeks
no,
of his
true.
career.
I want to say as well, Rafinha can be inconsistent. Like, there are games.
I would argue he weren't great against Brighton.
Yeah.
I would argue, although he scores the penalty against Palace, he didn't set the world on fire before that, particularly.
He shows up when he wants to show up, I think. And I think that's just maybe a Latin thing, or he's one of these players that bounces off of other players, so he'll turn up if Rodrigo has a good game, Rafinha has a good game. It's like you remember Saiz and Hernandez?
Yeah,
they used to like bounce off each other a bit like that. But no, I think all this talk of Rafinha's going to go to Liverpool and all this rubbish. I think if he gets more consistent, then that move becomes a lot more realistic. But at the moment, I don't think he is that guy. I think he's too inconsistent because his peaks and troughs is like he's brilliant, absolutely wins games for us, and then at times it's just like, a couple of stepovers, a nutmeg. I'm not 15. I'm not impressed by that. I'm impressed by effort.
You could say that at times Rafinha tries too hard.
Yeah.
But is he trying too hard? And I think it all comes down to everything is the same issue for me, that nobody's playing in their positions for a long period of time, at least 3 or 4 games.
We touched on that last week, didn't we, about consistently having a player in one position.
But you're saying like Dan James, and Dan James is getting a lot of stick, and a lot of it is quite... I would give him some stick on Sunday. I think their fullback got carded, and maybe the same against Palace as well.
Still didn't go at them.
Yeah, just run at them and let them kick you. Just beat him for pace.
Yeah.
And don't give him an option but to kick you.
At Palace, we're up against Joel Ward.
Yeah.
It was a cart horse at best. And he let him off a hook a little bit, I think.
Just go at him a bit more. And
I have sympathy for Dan James.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the only one in this room that has a bit of
No,
I think I do as well.
But I think you think about, he came in on deadline day. He essentially has been chucked straight in because of injuries. He's had to play as a number.
He's played
9.
left. He's played right. He's played up front.
Winger.
Yeah.
And I think we sort of saw a mini summation of his season on Sunday where he ended up playing left wing, right wing, and number 9. And then in the second half, you were looking at him going, I'm not convinced he knows where he's supposed to be on the pitch.
Yeah.
Because of the chopping and changing.
Yeah.
And I do think that at times there is a bit like, where am I supposed to be playing at the moment?
Yeah.
I've not really, I've still got to... Because as well, you think he's played for Wales in every single international break as well, so there's not really been any time to sort of step back and go and sort of assess and have a bit of time at Thorpe Arch to, go over stuff. So, I don't know. I think we do want to see more, and we need to see more from him. I think his price tag naturally demands that, but I do have some sympathy for him. It's been a whirlwind 3 months, and you just hope that he can maybe wrestle some form and take on the goals and assists that we do need to see from him.
Well, at the level we're expecting our players to play at now, we got a bit of...
Just a bit of technical issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we just turn that round? No, other
Try
way.
that.
Other way.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, keep talking.
Yeah, I was just saying,
Style
the level we're expecting our players to play at, it requires refinement, and to get that level of refinement, you have to be playing in the same position, doing the same things. It's like the drills and the training, I'm sure, is the same drills as has been reported, But then all of a sudden we're on the pitch and we're sacrificing that for the sake of versatility.
Yeah.
So, and Dan James, I think, is a player that needs that refinement. He needs to, have, and it's the same for, to be honest, the forwards. You don't see Salah having to, play a 9 or a 10. It's like he does what he does week in, week out, and he's the best in the world at it. And I think, obviously it's not a fair comparison, but, with a forward...
But isn't that...
It's about...
I guess what we're saying, that there's no luxury of us doing that.
Oh, I think there is. I think because we've got Harrison on the bench, so our wingers can at least stay. Maybe not with Robertson, Rodrigo, them two interchanging. But I'm I'm not. I don't want to be too critical, but it's the versatility of refinement. I think is where we are now, where you want at least your forwards to be just playing that same position and just having the repetition.
I would actually, and I've not looked into it because, well, we don't do much prep, but I would actually love to see what back 4 differences we've had all season and what front 3 differences we've had all season, because I bet we've not had more than 5 games of the same back 4 or same front 3. Would you agree, Ben? Or am I over-egging that pudding?
I don't think we've had 2 in a row with the same back 4, have we?
Anyway, that segues us on lovely to the fact that we're not going to dwell too much on the rumours around the injuries. I think a national newspaper picked up today that Calvin's out for a substantial amount of time. What that looks like, we'll probably find out off Marcelo tomorrow.
Because obviously I was at the ground and I didn't really see what happened. What happened with these injuries?
It looked quite innocuous, to be fair, from what I saw on the LUTV watchback type thing. There didn't appear to see anything sort of untoward.
That seemed very much a catalyst for us sort of going to shit.
Yeah, yeah.
You have such a way with words.
That's the technical term.
Yeah.
We've gone to shit, lads. Need to sort this out. But so potentially we're staring down the barrel of Calvin out for a period of time, Bamford out with potentially a period of time, not sure.
Which is even more annoying.
Yeah, because he's just come back.
Yeah, and
it's even more annoying, but it's not in any way surprising.
I can say in the moment, it was a good moment to score, and we got the point, and a point we deserved. If not, we deserved more.
Yeah.
But if the outcome is Bamford being out for another 3 weeks, then what's the fucking point in it?
Yeah.
And what's the point in the whole celebrate? Like, you look at
Yeah.
it sort of after, and I guess in hindsight now that it was celebrating a goal, all right, last minute goal, but it was against Brentford to draw.
Yeah.
Now you draw
like
against
Roy Keane here, but
you draw against a Man United, Liverpool, whatever.
Come on. It's
a bit different.
It's a 95th minute equaliser. He's been out for 3 months.
Yeah.
The emotion
but he's out for
that he's
another
had.
for another
I
3
understand,
weeks.
but when he puts that in, he's not thinking, "Oh, I better not sprint here in case I tweet something."
Because amigos.
I mean, fair play, because if I ran like that, I'd probably be out for 6 months.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
For me-
I don't think I could run like that, but
well, I was saying to Ben on the way here, like for me, it's more the fact of like I like players that celebrate winning goals, and if you get a draw, some draws do feel like wins. But against Brentford, we've got players out and stuff. I'd like a player to.
no, I'm not having the Brentford have got players out stuff.
You know,
They had one out.
well, they're a championship. They're the same players they had in the championship, apart from that centre back, right? That Christopher Ayer.
And I'm not having them crying that they've had that because
No,
Tony got COVID.
But still,
I don't even think he's got COVID. He just didn't want to play at Leeds.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
but still, I think at home, you know, I think I like a player who just gets the ball and runs back to the centre spot and
go and win it.
Go and win it.
Go
Yeah.
and win it. Yeah.
I know qualms in them celebrating, but the whole sort of running round half the pitch was maybe a bit too much.
I don't know.
It reminded me when we got that last minute win against Blackburn.
Have I missed
3-2.
something? I thought we all went to football for those moments.
It's true. It's true, to be fair.
Yeah, but not to get
So
injured.
you're not supposed to. So what you're saying is, whenever you're scoring in the 95th minute,
Just
you
take
should
it.
just pick up the ball
just-
and run back to the
yeah.
halfway line.
No, just stand still and put your arms
Do you
in
not,
air.
do you not see
Just
how
don't get
dingy, do
injured.
you not see how dingy the South Stand went?
Well, I
he
went
gonna-
that as well, but yeah.
I think what we're doing here is looking at it with a great deal of hindsight.
Yeah.
Because I think there was
It was
obviously-
a relief. It
Obviously,
was.
on
and
just
getting shithouse. We've been shithouse
Yeah.
so much, haven't we? So
and you know that's ultimately where Bamford's coming from. He's been out for a long period
Yeah.
of time. He's seen as labour and labour, and then Aileen flicks it on and he knees it in.
Yeah.
Of course
I
he's
remember
gonna
when
go
he
berserk.
celebrated his goal against Bolton when he'd come back from his ACL,
Yes.
and that was like I think it was the same thing for him.
He
Wasn't
did it again. Am I right in thinking when he did his PCL?
Yeah.
He played, scored against Bolton. I'm sure he were out.
Did he
out after
was
that
it a
again?
jump?
He did
He
it.
jumped or
He
something.
did it in training. Someone
was it.
fell on him.
Yeah.
Jesus, we are so lucky.
So there's your luck.
Yeah,
somewhere.
exactly. So, Joe, because we've got you here, obviously you focus heavily on the 23s for the YUP. Do you think Marcelo trusts some of the 23s? I'm just going on purely because we saw Gallard feature against Spurs, give a good account of himself.
Yeah.
Not seen him since. We saw Cooper get injured. Charlie Cresswell, heavily warming up, chose not to bring him on, chose to shuffle the pack a little bit. Lewis Bay, it very much appears that when he came into the club, he was basically told he ain't playing for the first team for the first year, as Gallard did as well when he first came in. So do you think it's Marcelo trying to keep his powder dry a little bit and not chucking him in too soon? Or do you think that it might actually be that he just don't think they're ready at this moment in time?
I think it's a momentary. Sorry, Joe, but I think it was a momentary
The
thing.
expert is here.
In what way?
In that, well, Cooper was coming off, and it looks like Cresswell was doing quite a bit more of a rigorous warm up.
Yeah.
Cresswell then didn't get stripped off, and Klitsch got stripped off, and then Klitsch got told to sit down,
Yeah.
and he brought Harrison on. So there's obviously a lot of conflicting thoughts there.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a trust thing in Cresswell. I think that one was more of a tactical thing.
But I think that sort of substitution was summed up in that how consistent. I mean, injuries have played a role, but if you think to last year and then in the Championship as well, how often did we see Marcelo make like 3 or 4 changes before games? And we've seen that quite a lot this season because I think he's obviously still trying to find his best 11, and I know that he's had to move people around because of injuries and things like that. But going back to the 23s point, I just think that he has a pecking order, and that I think some of them are, if you think about it in terms of American sports, you have a depth chart. And I think he has, Stuart Dallas, obviously, is in about 10 of those.
Everywhere.
spots. Yeah. Apart from the goalkeeper. Although, maybe
do
he'll
a
play
job
there at some point.
do a job.
But I genuinely think that they are all maybe 3rd or 4th on there. And other people just get shifted
get
in.
moved over.
So, I think that's what we saw on Sunday, is that we saw 4 changes for 1 change, whereas the natural thing you would think is, let's just put Cresswell in there, and that keeps the shape of the team. But like I alluded to before, I actually think that the 4 changes actually helped Leeds for that 20 minutes, but it didn't help in the second half. So it's peaks and troughs, and
there's a whole thing to unpack with this under-23s thing as well, because if you're going to keep them there playing their under-23s football, but you want to be able to call on them, why don't we loan them out to, why didn't we loan Gelhardt straight back to Wigan?
He's never really done that, has he, though? No. He's never done a development. He's never done a loan to develop players. He's kind of done a loan to get him in the shop window and kind of get rid of him, hasn't he, to be honest?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it is about learning in-house, and I think they balance it out of the amount of time that they get to train with the first team during the week, because they essentially all train with the first team during the week, apart from the odd day where there's a midweek game or murder ball and things like that. I think they see that far more beneficial than them going to League One or League Two and playing consistently, which there is arguments for either way, but that was sort of the rationale that was Carlos Corberan used to discuss a lot after the 23s games, when you were asking about, who is someone going to go out on loan, what's the benefits of keeping them in-house, and that was always the rationale, was that they saw it being more beneficial for them to be in-house, because if they were going to have a future at the club, what was the point in sending them out to League Two, where they may potentially play a completely different style? Yeah. Now, whether you think that's correct or not, that's just the stance that they've taken.
This is the thing, though, isn't it, Gaz?
There's definitely thought in that, isn't there? Let's be honest. Because we play in such a unique way.
Yeah.
Even now that we're not playing to the top of our game, it's still very unique the way we play.
Yeah.
But I would, so you could make an argument for this season that the squad that the 23s have doesn't completely suit the way that Leeds play, which is what we're seeing in results. Yeah. And arguably there is the squad age, without looking right now, is probably younger, and obviously they've had then Cresswell, Gelhardt, Drame have all been pulled out, and you're taking 3 of them, and you've seen people like Chris Moore come in, who was playing in the cup game last night, the FA Youth Cup, and you see him playing centre half and then right back and then left back. Jack Jenkins played right back at Man City for the last 20 minutes. It's just sometimes it's just a toss of the coin, but I think it is. It's just, I don't think it necessarily maybe suits all the players, but they're never going to give that style of play up, because that's what they all need to learn. Yeah. That's what they all need to know, because if they are going to eventually have a pathway through, I don't think we've seen too many yet come through. But
do you think the under-23s know that as well? Like, I wonder if any youth players have turned around and gone, I want a loan, I want to go get bullied by some massive centre halves in Championship, or
they'll definitely will have been pushed back, but you're employed by your contract.
Yeah.
I bet there's also an element of players going, I don't want to go out on loan. Because I'm playing here with under Marcelo. A very unique way of training. I'm going to learn more here than.
It's the thing.
Let's be honest. Like, I think Rotherham, even to now, I think Rotherham still train at a sports centre near Rotherham's ground. You know what I mean?
You look at the strides that the academy's taken over the past sort of three and a half years since Bielsa came in. I mean, they were playing professional development league, and now they're playing Premier League 2, and they're in the top division of the Premier League 2. They're playing against your Chelseas, your Arsenal. They're playing against the best academies that English football has to offer consistently, week in, week out, and that has to be of some benefit. You might not be playing some seasoned centre halves in the Football League, or anywhere else that you might want to go in Europe, but you are playing technically some of the best young kids in in the country and potentially in Europe, because as we've seen, Chelsea, Liverpool, etc., tend to sweep up a lot of the talent.
Yeah, definitely. On the 23s, then, Joe, do you think, and we talked about it on last week's show, but obviously we've got you here this week, so I'll ask you again. Do you think that the 23s have suffered as a result of the injuries in the first team?
100%.
In terms of the chopping, changing, 45 minutes here, 20 minutes there, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, some games are just premeditated and strategized, and they're seen as sort of exhibition games, which is fine. We all know that results aren't the be all and end all of academy football. Having said that, they do need to sort of pick up wins. They do need to learn the winning habit, and Mark Jackson quite often speaks about that. But there is a certain element of the injuries from the first team filtered down. So I've just said it there, but you take out Cresswell, your captain, you take out the right back, Cody Drummond, take out Joe Gelhardt. Those are three big players for the 23s, and they're in the first team. They've basically been with the first team for the last 2 months. So it's only natural that you bring in younger players through. They're just developing. Everyone develops at different rates, and they might not be at the same level as those three because they are probably three of the best that they have. So it's only natural that they're going to be drop off.
Can I ask again just about the sort of, there's a bracket, isn't there, between the first team, under 23s in-house, and then the youth that do go out on loan? You're thinking Ryan Edmondson or Mateus Bogus. In your opinion, do they get a chance back at Leeds? What's the role there? If we're saying you want to mentor youth to be called into the senior team, why are some out on loan though? Is that just because I know Edmondson got a contract extension, didn't he, before he went out on loan to, is it Fleetwood Town?
Yeah, Fleetwood. Yeah.
I would probably suggest...
Is that just a cash thing?
There is an element of protecting an asset there.
Yeah.
And I think that's natural with a lot of the youngsters that you potentially... Like, Chelsea are kings of it. Lewis Baker's still at Chelsea. It's mental.
It's like 35, isn't he? Played for the 23s.
But that's a prime example, isn't it, of giving out contracts to protect your assets anyway. But I think there is... It's interesting because Victor Orta was asked this at the start of the season about... Essentially, how it's been before this year is that any kid or player coming through that's gone out on loan essentially doesn't have a future at the football club, because that's what we've seen. And he was asked this because obviously Ian Pervader went out on loan to Blackburn, and essentially he was asked, well, does that mean Pervader's future's done? And he said that he wanted to try and change the narrative around that. Whether that's just in reference to Pervader, and obviously we know that he's now got a broken ankle and it's not gone very well there, and it's going to be I think a season ender for him, unfortunately, because it's a really shame, because that could potentially be the end of his Leeds spell. Because of that, this year you were thinking he needs to go to the Championship and push on, consistently produce results, which he was starting to do, which is a real shame. But I would probably hazard a guess that the likes of Edmondson, McCalmont, other players that are out on loan probably are not going to be coming back into the fold.
Well, we saw it with Jordan Stevens and Robbie Gotts, really, didn't we? Similar things happened to them where
it's just a
I think Robbie Gotts signed a new deal, then he went out on loan, and then eventually obviously found his way to Barry, and he's doing well at Barry, to be fair, from the bits I've seen down there.
I watched him play against our friends the Terraces.
Banbury,
Banbury United, and I was like, oh, that's Stevens. Oh, that's and then we got pumped. So
that's kind of how it goes. So basically, when we start talking about the Chelsea game coming up this coming weekend, we're potentially looking at no Calvin, no Bamford, and Liam Cooper. We haven't discussed him already, but the way he comes off, he's holding his hamstring. You think that's going to be a long one with an hamstring strain, tear, whatever he appears to have done. Before we get on to our next talking point, then we need to hear from one of our sponsors, Manscapped. The below-the-belt grooming experts. Mike always likes us talking about Manscaped because he feels uncomfortable when we start talking about men's testicles and them getting shaved.
I feel uncomfortable when you start.
Why is that, Mike? Is it the tone of my voice, the way I need to directly look in the eyes while I talk about it? Sound, anyway, Christmas is coming, and what better to give a gift to the sort of man in your life than from Manscaped? Come in a nice little box with your weed whacker and your lawnmower 4.0 and your ball toner and your ball deodorant and the and the boxer shorts, and it comes in a lovely little thing. Get a nice little wash bag. I've now got the wash bag's in use in my house at the moment. It's no longer holding the.
Has it been taken off yet?
No, it's still in its holster inside at bed. The knacker trimmer, because as I keep telling people, I use it for my head.
The knacker
in
trimmer.
Shower, because I can shave my head in shower. It's an absolute novelty. I normally get a massive bollocking for shaving my head with my head over the toilet, and I normally miss it. Shelley goes berserk.
You go outside to shave yours?
Yeah, I'm going to say Barnes of it. Ours is in yard, isn't it? Good one, mate. Well done. So yeah, go check out Manscaped. We can also offer you 20% and free shipping anywhere in the world. Although Drew Vuvuzela don't like us saying that because we get them shipped to like Australia and stuff, which obviously costs them a fortune.
Santa Claus has got one.
But yeah, get over to Manscaped, and if you use the discount code SHAVINGSHUTT at checkout, you'll get 20% off and free shipping. And all joking apart, it is good clobber, to be fair. It is hard-wearing, good stuff. So yeah, get amongst it if you can. A big thanks to them. Continuing to sponsor us around this Christmas period. So we saw something interesting, and Ben wanted specifically to add this. We saw Victor Orta being passionate, as we know he is. But it didn't become quite apparent straight away who he was being passionate with. But the rumours are, or the sort of noises are, that it was with a fan. The fan had been giving him some shit allegedly, and Orta exploded.
How's he picked him out? Like, I could never pick out a single away fan. And
I think from what I've read, and I don't know if this is true by the way, I think he was sat in front of him.
No,
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's a rumor that he was sat in front of him. They've had words during the game, and then Orta's gone
ballistic.
Apoplectic, I think could be a word, and gone absolutely berserk. Where do we stand with this? You, Ben, specifically wanted this putting in, so you have
the first thing,
you have a feeling.
I don't understand where the argument comes from. What the argument is towards Orta.
Well, obviously we don't know what was labelled at him, so it'd be difficult to work that bit out.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of allegedlys.
It might have been his Paddington jacket coat that he were wearing, looked like Paddington Bear. He might have said Marmalade's wank, and Orta's just gone mental. Might have been that.
Okay, fair enough. If that's,
I like Marmalade.
Yeah,
to be honest.
If that's where he wants to argue about, then fair
but
enough.
I'll tell you what, let's get to the crux of things. Should the director of football, when a game's on national TV, and it's going to draw some attention because he's going berserk, should he really be chucking the V's at somebody?
No, but that's what makes it so brilliant. Yeah, because he's Leeds through and through.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, that's the whole thing, isn't it? It's like double standards because Leeds fans act in a way that riles up other fans and stuff like that. So why not Victor Orta as well?
It's a representation of the club on a higher, through the levels.
You see,
like Rafinha, there's no difference with Rafinha turning and goading the Brentford away fans, given...
Or Canos goading the Leeds fans.
Yeah, it's like players, fans, whatever level.
And conveniently bobbing his head on that 2-pint pot that flew out of the crowd.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Fancy getting your head in way of that.
There's no apparently about that. That was a brilliant shot.
But going back to Orta, I think I said, and I put this in the group earlier and neither of you replied, so I thought you might want to save it for the show. I said two sides of this, where one, us as fans, just because they are representatives of the club, player, staff, whatever, doesn't give us free rein to talk to them how we want to talk to them. At the end of the day, they're humans. And
I'm pretty sure
you're going to be abusive or all like that, then you deserve whatever's coming back at you, basically.
If you could get the chance to speak to them, I'm sure if you came to him with
We've been down this road trying to talk to Orta.
Yeah, cheers, Mike.
Yeah, we got so close, but anyway.
If you get the chance to speak to them and you put a good argument towards them, I'm sure they'd say, well, this is what we've tried to do and whatever. And they'd be fair with you on that.
Yeah.
If you're standing and giving abuse, then
you
should get the same back.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's where I stand. But then the other side of it is, he's a director of football at a multi-million-pound football club. He is the face of a club. Should he really be carrying on like that, knowing full well it'll be on telly? Yeah, absolutely get frustrated. Yes, absolutely.
It's football though, and it's in a football ground. If he was walking down the street...
I'm not saying I sit either side of this debate. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I would just point to the fact that he took binoculars to Derby.
That's it, and the flag.
Which we all loved. Which we all loved, by the way. Yeah.
It's quite funny. In keeping.
It's quite funny how a Brentford page that, funnily enough, had blocked me, I think, from Championship days.
Which Brentford page this?
Called like Brentford CPG, Griffin Park, something or other. I'd forgotten about them until they appeared over there on my timeline.
I think from what I've learned this week, you need to say which ones so they can get offended and stuff like that. They might get offended.
So anyway, this individual, this page, whatever, basically saying that the correct and proper person test obviously don't work because Victor Orta's rodding
He's not
one of his own fans. I don't get that.
He's not an owner. He's
I don't
not
get
on the
that
board.
theory. Yeah, I got that.
He's
as well,
not even
but-
on the board.
What, is that one of the questions in the fit and proper owners test? That
Is your director of football a lunatic?
do you say naughty words?
Is there even a test?
No.
Let's be honest.
No, it's the
Well, no,
fucking
Massimo
way.
Cellino bought Leeds, so definitely not.
There's no test. There's no test. But anyway, so I think we all kind of agree that he's a little bit unhinged,
But the thing is,
passionate.
we know he's a good person as well. Like we know he wouldn't get riled up for no reason.
Yeah,
you
and I
know.
mean, again, it's easy to jump to conclusions based on what you've seen. You don't know what's
Yeah.
been said to him. It could have been genuinely
Exactly.
quite offensive.
I think that's the problem. We don't
Yeah.
know what was
Yeah,
said
exactly,
because obviously people react in different ways, and we know that he's a fairly emotional character.
Yeah.
But the thing is as well, I mean, the thing with like Sky covering it, just it's like there's been worse things that fans have done at the ground this season. You know, going back like the Liverpool game with gestures and things like that, referring to Istanbul and stuff. It's like, and we're getting a big story out of, you know, Orta flicking the V. It's like, come on.
Well, it's only natural that because like Gary said,
Because of who he
he's
is, yeah.
the sporting director of the football club.
Yeah.
So, and to outsiders looking in, if you don't know about Victor Orta and you don't know that he's fairly emotional and you know everything else, they're probably just going to flick on social media and see him flicking the V's and go, "What the heck's going on there?" You know?
Yeah,
So that I think it makes a nice video for social media as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course.
I think it goes back to the two words that was said just like I said a second ago: unhinged and passionate. It's just
Yeah.
Leeds United, isn't it?
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Yeah. Speaking about unhinged and passionate, been some takeover news this week, and Mr. Radrazani weren't overly keen about the way in which it was delivered. But so the Athletic broke news, I think via David Ornstein initially, and then Phil did a follow up after on a deal in place for the San Francisco 49ers investment group. And it's important they say investment group. It's not the San Francisco 49ers who own a bit of Leeds. It's the San Francisco 49er enterprise.
Can we have
which
some
is
of
the
their players?
investment? How are the go on, the Horseshoe Blues getting on?
Oh, the
Horseshoe
blue
Blues,
horseshoe
those.
team.
Are you an NFL fan?
Yeah, I'm a Denver Broncos fan.
Denver Broncos.
Wow.
Is their logo a blue horseshoe?
No, that's Indianapolis Colts.
No, it's not. It's the Blue Horseshoe folk.
Blue horseshoe team, yeah.
Against the pirate people.
I like the Cincinnati Shitehawks, mate. That's my team.
Right, Cincinnati Sharks. Anyway, let's go back to the takeover news. So the news basically was along the lines of there's a deal in place for the 49ers to take sort of full control or a controlling stake, including Allen Road, before 2024. Obviously, this was released. The Toma machine goes into overdrive about this, that, and other, who's inviting, blah, blah, blah. And then we saw a reaction from Andre Radrazani shortly after saying that it was wrong and that he's got the opportunity as part of Acer Investments to pull out at any time and all this type of stuff. Let's not get involved in Rad's having a falling out with anybody who will discuss it. Let's discuss about how we feel if it was to materialise. If the 49ers investments were to take over Leeds United, how would we feel about it?
Well, I think we're kind of lucky because, I mean, I've said in the group chat, like, I love the fact that we've got a board with members that will walk around the ground before a game, you know. I remember shaking hands with Orta he just got out of the car and saw Angus walking around and stuff, like, and I love the fact that the board have come through the grueling process of promotion with us. And I think, I mean, the side I see with the 49ers is that at least they're sport people. As gentrified or whatever, 49ers might be over in America.
Are you saying at least they're not Middle Eastern?
Whoa. No.
Hey, I heard a little tidbit the other day on that. That there's some gentleman
Let him
agreement.
finish
There's
his-
some
let him
gentleman.
finish.
No, I'm not letting him finish on purpose. There's some gentleman's agreement in the Premier League not to sell any players to Newcastle.
Yeah.
They're not going
I
to get
read
any
that
players.
somewhere.
then, are
That's quite interesting.
Well, my thing with that's always been like, they've got money, so just charge double, triple.
all right. So
You know what I
James
mean?
James Tarkovsky's worth 8, but we want 80.
Yeah,
off it.
you could.
He could, yeah. I
Yeah.
suppose. Yeah.
they? I was going to
Your
say
cast-offs.
Middle Eastern with a dodgy human rights record, but okay.
That's quite good for
No,
you, Ben. To
like-
be fair, that's pretty impressive.
At least they're sport people,
Right.
like-
So to play totally
passion and that.
devil's advocate, am I right in thinking that the American Togger Ball, they are generally money-making franchises? Am I right in believing
100%,
that? And I got
yeah.
a message off somebody on the old Twitter saying they were concerned about it because American sports franchises care about one thing, which is the dollar.
Oh, yeah.
So is there any grounds to actually be a little bit worried about it? should we be worried? Are we worried that they might come in and want to turn us into a franchise, move us to Scotland or something?
Does
Ellen Road?
American football doesn't have relegation or promotion,
no idea,
does
Mike.
it? I don't think it does.
No idea.
I don't think you can.
It doesn't. No.
No, there you go.
You can compare the two sort of sports. And what you can do is look at clubs that have American owners in the UK.
Yeah.
And I think there's one in Liverpool who they're Fenway Sports.
Yes.
FSG, yeah.
Yeah, they've done all right, I guess. They've spent money when they needed to. They've brought in a good manager. They've got a good setup. And then you've got other ones like the Glazers who leverage the buyout and
Plenty of dividends and
yeah. But also they've spent a lot of money, and only recently you'd think have thought about the structure of the club and how they're gonna keep up there. Now that's slipping away, kind of thing.
Yeah, but I think with those they don't like what other like with the Glazers. What other big sport projects do they have? You know what I mean? Like the Glazers infamously don't know how to. They know how to spend money and they've got the resources in the history of that club, but in terms of
you could say the same for the 49ers. Then it's exactly the same. The Glazers own an American football team. They've never had anything to do with English soccer.
They actually own?
Yeah, they own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah.
All right.
So is that the pirate people?
No, there's there's a couple of pirate people in the NFL. But yeah,
it's growing on there.
They're one of the pirates. So you could say, they don't have any football sense. They've got sports sense.
Okay.
But you could also say that for them to make Leeds United good, they're going to have to make the money anyway.
Yeah.
And that should really have to come hand in hand.
Yeah. I mean, we're under no illusion that the ownership structure will have to change at some point.
Yeah.
But we've had this whole thing of like, we've been building up to like Orta talking about the 5-year project for Leeds and, and then it's just kind of been pulled out.
I think
does that necessarily have to change though? Because they're in already.
Well, that's
they're
like a
part of this conversation.
Yeah, it's essentially what Rads did. Came in, took a non-controlling ownership off of Chelino.
Yeah,
saw the lay of the land, saw where the problems were. Eventually bought him out, and then moved to address the problems. Essentially, the 49ers have done that, and I know Phil makes point in the article that he wrote about. Once you get to 44%, you might as well run the joint. Like, it's no longer just a bit of a, I'll just put a bit of money in here. It's you may as well run it.
I've stayed quiet just to see from your guys' point of view, because it's interesting for me to hear sort of fans generally how they view this, because I think what you say is 49ers Enterprises is essentially a business. It's there to make money, so that is the first priority. But at the same time, to get to the next level, Leeds United probably do need to accept outside investment. The way that it's being done means that whenever that will come, and I'm a firm believer that it will come, and obviously the reports now suggest that it is going to come, that it's going to be fairly smooth. It's not going to be a complete transition. You've got Parag Marath, who's on vice chair already at the football club. They've been here for 2 or 3 years now already. They know how the club is run. They've got a good look at everything going on inside. They'll have things that they want to do to the football club, I'm sure. The big thing that Parag Marath was involved in was the Levi Stadium that the 49ers did, and they revolutionised that. I'm not sure you're going to quite see the same thing, but I think it almost comes down to the structure of the football club as well, in terms of, and I know this is a big point for some supporters, that even just the introduction of having some expertise in potentially ticketing, because
Jess.
Oh yeah.
But this is what they'll have expertise in. I think, for example, I had a family member the other day who was still queuing, I think 20 minutes into the Palace game. And it causes huge frustration because if they just had e-tickets,
I nearly missed
Joe, you are living through history because you are sat at side of the only Leeds fan in the history of Leeds United to buy an e-ticket. And when I turned up to the gate for the 23s game against Arsenal, they were like, we don't do e-tickets. And I had to go to customer services, and the lady in customer services was like, I've no idea how you even got this, because we don't print them. And I've got the email still, so I own an e-ticket.
I'm sure you can get e-tickets in the East Stand.
Well, I bought one for that, and she went, "No, we were trialing it, but we've never actually done it yet because we ain't got the machines in." So, but
Anyway,
it's a good point. Yeah,
back to the point is that I think there will be some benefits to come for the club for fan experience, but obviously, like anything, it's natural because of the ownership that Leeds United fans have had in recent memory. That's not going to go away.
Yeah,
we should all be very wary of what's to come, and that stands for Andrea Rajani right now as well. That's not a new thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think it's just caution. Everything has to be welcomed with caution.
How much of a sort of point is Peter Lowy being involved? I think that's a big one because, like, obviously me and Ben were on the trust in the days of Cellino, and even before Cellino, Peter Lowy was a name that we mentioned that might be interested in buying Leeds off Ken Bates, and it never really materialised. And I think Ken released some article that was like mumble, Australian billionaire, mumble, a bit more nonsense.
And everyone was like, Russell Crowe.
Everybody jumped on Russell Crowe. But basically, like, we've seen Peter Lowy join 49ers Enterprises, who've also bought more control. He's now on the board at Ellen Road. He's a lifelong Leeds fan by his own own admission.
We're all lifelong Leeds fans.
Involved with Westfield Group, obviously, owner, part of the family involved in that. How much do you think his place on the board and is part of the 49ers thing is a good thing because he is a Leeds fan essentially?
Yeah, well, it's like anything. I'm sure he'll have business interests, but it's important to have people around the football group who have the club's best interests at heart as well.
Yeah.
You see that a lot in football where people come in, see it as a quick money-making scheme. They suddenly figure out, actually, no, it's not a quick money-making scheme. As much as people say, you get to the Premier League, you get mountains of money. No, you actually have to have like an infrastructure in place where that money goes, how stay in the Premier League for a long while. And I think we've seen it sort of quite recently at Burnley, who got, they sold off to their long-time owner and brought in some Americans, and that was dealt with very badly by their supporters, and so I think it's important to have people around the football club who have the best interests of the football club at heart, and it also helps if they have a wad load of cash too.
Yeah, that'd be nice, they're really, really rich, that'd be good. So, if you want to read
I just want to pick up on another word that was said there, fan experience, and that's what it all kind of comes down to, and that's where teams in the Premier League are going to get the TV money. That's one part of it, but then the fan experience is the next part of the revenue, isn't it? And that's what they're going to look at. They're going to be looking at how to get people at Ellen Road for a full day
and keep them
and to sell shirts and to sell whatever they can to you to make that revenue.
And whether we like it or not, that's going to involve casual fans.
You've already
as well.
seen it slowly start to happen with the
development
fan park outside the northeast corner. Things like that. It wouldn't surprise me if things, because you look at American sports, you go back to it again with the 49ers, they tailgate, don't they? They go over there, they set up their cars or trucks or whatever the heck they drive over there, and they have barbecues, and they're there all day, and then they go in the stadium essentially for like 4 or 5 hours. I know the game's a lot longer, but yes, there is an element of they want to get as much money out of you.
You're going to have a ring of like Costas and Starbucks and stuff around.
Well, maybe not them. Well, maybe because you could sell the rental space, but that don't really make sense because unless the club's making the money off the rental space for that, then it's not really. They could probably do that themselves and make more money. I think I guess if people are going to Man City on Tuesday, look at what they've done around there. I mean, I went in when we played in the FA Cup a good few years ago.
That's a purpose built.
Well, no, it wasn't. It was purpose built for the Commonwealth Games, but then they've since the Abu Dhabi guys have gone in. The stuff around it, they've got stages, they have events on, so you can be there for hours and just buying drinks and stuff like that.
Even that, I went there. When did I go there? 2 or 3 years ago when they beat Southampton in like the 93rd minute. I think Sterling scored. And I just went as a fan. My brother's over there. I was at uni at the time, and he could get tickets. As you can imagine, at Man City at the moment, you can pretty much get tickets.
You can get them anyway.
So we went along, and I was flabbergasted at that because I'd never been exposed to anything like that. And we got there, and we must have got there about 2 hours before kickoff. And there was a stage, there was presenters, and we went round to see the teams arrive. And honestly, there was a guy there, like MCing. There was like a DJ, and there was a guy like going, "And here's your manager, Pep Guardiola," and then he'd get out. And I'm thinking there's going to be like stars in their eyes in a minute. But it is about enhancing. I'm not saying it'll get to that level, but it's about enhancing. So when you go to Ellen Road, it's not just as we probably have known in League One or whatever, pile off the special, go into the ground for 20 minutes, watch Exeter take the lead and leave. It's about being there
The
for
good old days.
the great days. But it is about enhancing that, and that's. I think I'm not saying it's going to be completely, but there's going to be elements of that. I think.
And I think to evolve, there's got to be elements of that.
Yeah.
Aren't there? I don't know.
We're going to have a turn on at the start.
Well, I'm not being funny. They were looking at 25-minute half-time, so they could bob Shakira on at half-time and keep a few more people. It's not going to happen,
I don't
is it?
think that'll happen.
But yeah, so anyway, long and short of it is, however, read the article that Phil's wrote with The Athletic, and you can get 50% off an annual subscription by ourselves if you go to The Athletic/Talking Shutt. It's a very good article that talks about ownership models in the Premier League, how we're moving away from one very wealthy owner, and we're now going to syndicates of people with multiple wealthy owners. So going back to 49ers Enterprise, we've got Peter Lowy on there, the guy with the most American name ever, Chad Hurley, who everybody instantly followed on Twitter, then realised maybe I'm not going to follow this guy.
Yeah.
He seems a bit of an uninjured individual, but he's quite wealthy.
Oh, he's the nutter.
And then there's another guy on there who's extremely wealthy, who's involved with some internet-based things also. Bad example.
Involved with the internet.
Yes.
Not a great example at the moment, but Everton, their board, they've got 2 diehard Everton fans on their board, but it's the other guy with all the money. I remember Jamie Carragher was saying on Monday Night Football about it.
Yeah.
But it can't hurt to have actual Leeds fans on the board.
But again, we talk about the recent sort of like look at how English football's structured and the regulator and stuff, and the need for fan consultation at board level is huge, and I think that's one thing that's going to need to become standard. Because the more that football continues on this path of, especially in the Premier League, the sort of less it starts to feel in touch with the fan base. And I know the club have been up and down with, I think they've come on a long way.
Yeah.
And I know they consult with the trust quite regularly, but it's important that I think that becomes a very, very regular thing because we've seen it with the badge. I'm not going to go over that. But you can't lose that. You can't just do stuff like that. I think because as we've seen, that survived for about 10 hours, didn't it? And then it was scrapped. So
it'd be nice if that was mandatory. I mean, we'll never get 50+1 in this country, but some kind of
the game's gone too far.
But some sort of mandatory thing of like, if you're buying that entity that is that club, then the trust comes with it.
Whatever happened? Have we still got the supporters advisory board that we did have, what the club used to consult with? Is that still a thing? That it was there.
I don't think COVID has helped with that, but I think they have done a few Zoom things and stuff like that.
Kinnear does sort of Zooms with
it does. Very interesting.
There you go. There's ways to work with it.
So, long and short of the takeover news, however, is that it'll all go to shit if we end up in Championship. So let's not get too carried away just right now.
And on the news, was it really that much news?
No,
because
not
really. It seemed to me, and I'm not a business sort of takeover kind of guy, but what I do know of following Leeds United takeovers,
mate, we've poured over company's house many an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to understand it all and never understanding it.
Yeah.
But a company like the 49ers, who has bought shares into a company like Leeds United, it's always going to have that clause there to say, if you want to sell, we get first option and stuff like that to protect their interests. And it seemed to me very much the article was pretty much, we've got this, and someone's just putting it out there just to ruffle a bit of feathers.
Well, I think that's fairly standard practice, isn't it? If you buy it over a certain amount of shares, if the other person, so I don't know, me and Gary are in business together, he wants to sell his shares, he has to let me have first dibs, because otherwise I could end up in,
Tell him to Mike, and he's a really bad businessman.
and I don't get on with him. That's the kind of thing. Not that I don't get on with you now, but I think it's fairly standard practice that's in place.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing for me that kind of perked my ears up was the timing of it.
Yeah,
we're struggling a little bit. We haven't really got going, and then this sort of appeared on the horizon. But again,
which can be a bad. Could that be construed as a bad thing, that it's rocking the boat too much right now? It didn't really need it. Maybe that's Radrazani's gripe as well at the moment, and why he wasn't too happy with that.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. And he's every right to be unhappy with it as well if he wants to be. That's his,
well, we all have feelings.
Of course we do. We're not lumps of meat.
You have to ask Victor Orta about his emotions.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be rodding you. Moving on then. The January transfer window. I know we're not even out of December yet. We're not even in 2022. I feel like we haven't done anything since 2019, to be honest. I feel like I've rubbed 2020 and 2021 out of my memory. So I forget we're going to 2022. But January transfer window coming up. Much rumours. Aaron Ramsey's the latest name to be linked. I just cannot see that for love nor money. Arta Cabral appeared on the old airwaves again after we had him a year ago. That same discussion with our friend Erflon Barbosa. Do you think we'll do any business in January, Joe? I don't want names. I don't want positions. Do you think we'll do? And on heart, journalist aside, as a Leeds fan, do you think we'll do business in January?
Well, if you're asking me with my journalism head on, I think you'd then look at the evidence that we've seen before. But I think if you look at the state of play in this squad, Calvin Phillips obviously being out for the next couple of months potentially is a huge blow. I think we all probably sat in August and felt that Leeds needed to add a midfielder. I think when you take Calvin out, you've essentially now swapped him and Forshaw, haven't you? So the need for another midfielder is still there because Forshaw in the summer was obviously still an unknown quantity, whether he could come back. Calvin is obviously, I would say, well, in my opinion, is the biggest loss to this team because we've seen how they cope without Bamford. If Rafinha was to be injured or suspended, which he's on 4, by the way, he's on 4 yellow cards. So
Calm down, Ross.
There's like 4 or 5 that are on.
Yeah, there is. There's a few. So I think you need to go and see what midfielders are available. But again, Bielsa was asked this a few weeks ago, and he essentially says, well, if it's within the financial constraints, and it's because as we've seen by every single transfer window in the winter period, everyone tends to have to overpay to get what they want. And also with the evidence available, would they, if they were coming in from a standing start, would they be playing in this team until March?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, financially, can't we do what Burnley always did to us, and we'll pay you in 18 instalments.
Yeah, the one thing I could see is someone like John Swift. So because he's out of contract in the summer, he's someone that we Bielsa loves, and you maybe look at Reading's current financial situation, and you think maybe they could get him in. And the way you could sell it to Bielsa is, well, you get 6 months extra to work with him before he gets the first full season. And then he's there if you need him. That kind of thing, maybe potentially, because I don't see them spending big money. Yeah. Again, maybe Orta just goes, what, sod it. We need to, because our Premier League status is on the line here. But yeah, you'd look at. I mean, again, you look at the 23s. I really like Lewis Bay.
I like Lewis Bay.
I don't think he's anywhere near, unfortunately. No. You look at Jack Jenkins is consistently on the bench, and Lewis Bay isn't. So I don't think he's going to be an option. Yeah. But I think. Then you see also you look back at the further evidence of Bielsa will just shift Dallas into the 6 role, or Forshaw or Stroik or Klitsch. It's not, he'll just move things around like he does, and I think that's what we're going to see over the next 6 to 7 weeks.
So basically, what I took from that is we'll sign Lewis O'Brien for 30 million. That's what I took from that.
Well, that's Bielsa said.
A joke before that becomes a clickbait article.
He said, he wants to sign players that can. Will be around 20 to 30 million.
This is my one criticism of Marcelo. He constantly keeps saying we need players who are better than what we've got. I agree, we do. Yeah. But I also think we need to reinforce this
buy
team
a B
with,
option. Yeah.
We need another Adam Forshaw, for example. One who,
the counter argument. The counter argument to that is though that Bielsa has a set way of doing it.
Yes.
And that is what Leeds United have adhered to for the last 3.5 years. Yeah. He's not just going to throw that aside because Calvin Phillips is injured, or Adam Forshaw's injured, or
I wonder how deep his Bilbao squad was. Something I've never compared to.
Not
what
very,
we've got.
Probably. I would hazard a guess. Not very.
So,
along with all his other squads prior to that as well.
Say we get to early January, and all right, Calvin Phillips is going to be out for another month from there, and you think, well, he needs a backup anyway. What if you brought someone in, and someone who's going to be anywhere close to Calvin, you're going to be at least looking 20, 30 million. What do you then do when Calvin comes back?
Yeah,
you've got this guy who will played a bit, and he's like,
this is why you need someone who can play like an 8 and a 6, and obviously you would love to say if they could play a 10 as well, because I think Leeds really lack a 10. So it's like,
well, that's what we discussed a few weeks ago, that we've gone through the season changing the position that we need to buy most for. Since Forshaw's come back, before that it was the 8. But since Forshaw's come back, and then you've got Dallas who can play there, and you've got Bate behind him and whatever, you're thinking we need a 10 because we've not had a proper 10. We've had strikers playing there and stuff like that. So,
But he always said,
it's all circumstantial.
yeah, he always said like a 22-man squad, i.e. 2 for each position,
with children.
with children to back it up. We ain't even got that 22-man squad like for seniors. And the idea of like, yeah, you buy like a B option or a backup, but then you've just got 2 players competing, and you're never going to unseat Phillips.
I don't
but
see him being sold on the fact that you go, here's a player for 6 months. He won't do that. He'll want someone, if he's going to buy one, he's got to go, right, well, in 2 or 3 years he can still be around this.
Oh yeah,
you know,
fully.
that'll be his
That's
thing.
what I'd like to
Which
see.
you could see with Lewis O'Brien, because we talked about
Yeah.
Click at the top of the show. He's not really hit the heights. He just looks like he's been flogged to within an
Can you
inch of his
though?
life.
Is Lewis O'Brien a signing that if we're being honest, and if Leeds United are going to be where you want them to be, and I'd say that's between 10th and 6th within 3 years at least. If that's where they want to be, is Lewis O'Brien good enough for that?
Well, not in our
they
opinion,
finished
but they wanted
9th
him.
last year, and would you have said 2 years before that half of this squad would have been capable of doing that?
Fair point. But still, no, I don't think Lewis O'Brien's that player.
That's fine, and I would probably. I mean, I haven't seen an over amount of him, but I do also think that if you think in the summer, would you have brought him in, and could he have had an impact in this team this year? I would probably say yes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a completely hypothetical, but then the also counter argument is would you have said half of this squad would have been able to guide Leeds United to 9th in the Premier League last year? So I think with Bielsa, you've seen he's one of the best coaches in the world. If he wants a player, I think you get him that player.
Yeah.
And on that point is Dan James, and Bielsa wanted him, and badly, and we paid a lot of money for
For a
him.
long time.
And there's a lot of that thrown out that we've paid 25 million and got a dud, but he's played 8 games and never played in his position.
We wanted him as a left winger,
Yeah.
and he's we wanted him as a left winger that we could ping balls over the top and him to run onto and cross him into Bamford, or it's
And I
just not happening.
think his pressing is a big element of why he gets selected as a 9, because as any defender that has taken 2 touches near him this year, he's straight on him.
Yeah.
And I think there is an element of he thinks, well, we haven't got the same pressure that Bamford usually brings, because Bamford will run himself into the ground. They still need that press, and I don't think the press has quite been as cohesive as it has done in previous years this year. But I think that's a way he's tried to counteract that, is because James almost does the job of 2 people with his pace.
Yeah.
Well, what Bamford does for the front as well is he solidifies the positions of everyone else, because that's an undisputed position. So all of a sudden, Roberts Rodrigo a 10, because nobody's going to be a 9. The wingers are wingers, and I think last season we saw that solidity up top. It worked in our favour, and I think that's going back. What we massively missed this season is Bamford, not just for what he is, but what he does for the positions around him.
So shall we have a little look towards the weekend fixture coming up down in the Big Smoke again against the old enemy Chelsea? A little bit of a line from them today. Thomas Tuchel said in his pre-match presser that Ben Chilwell's out, N'Golo Kante's
Is this
out,
the Champions League?
Trevor Chalobah's out, Mateo Kovic's out, and Jorginho's out.
Is this the play tonight in the
I just
Champions
picked
League?
this little snippet up today at 1 o'clock. So there you go.
They played tonight, didn't they, against Zenit?
And they drew 3-3. Or are drawing
Ross
3-3.
Barkley, a player who's been linked with Leeds United.
Do you think he'd fit?
I think he'd be within the price range of
Yes.
what Leeds United
I think
would
as an
require.
8, when you look at what he did with Grealish at Villa,
Whether
he was the solid presence to play off a creative player, and I think of him doing that as an 8 with I mean, even as a 10, he's not as creative, but he can hold the ball up, and he can he can bring others into play. No, I'd love to see it.
whether he can get over that first spell.
Yeah. We might break him.
Yeah.
We might break him.
Whether he comes back and he just gets flashbacks.
Yeah.
Just on Chelsea,
sees Michael Brown getting his shirt
Yeah.
off. Oh, fucking hell, it's happened again.
Yeah.
Chelsea had already qualified.
So that
Is
might mean that they were out.
are they out
exactly.
injured, or they are just out because they're not playing in this game?
Well, I think he did his press yesterday. He was quite concerned about Kante, wasn't he?
And I think
Kovacic has got
Kovacic has got COVID, so he'll miss out.
Chilwell, they're waiting to see whether he needs an op, so he might even be out for the season. But
skipping a jump penalty taker, Jorginho.
Yeah, like I tweeted yesterday, probably stupidly, that Kovacic's got COVID, so they've now got some midfield issues, which obviously Leeds have massive midfield issues. But I think someone just replied saying, "Oh no, woe is them. They'll just bring their next £50 million."
Yeah, that's a good point.
It is a fair point. Yeah. That's me.
So Chelsea have had a good start to the season. I would argue that I think they are the team who will challenge City and Liverpool for the title. I think, in my opinion,
Undoubtedly,
I don't see anybody else getting near to them at this moment in time. I'd love a point. A point would be nice. Have a point. We should get a point. Last minute shithouse.
If we call
equaliser
it now,
or nil.
if we call it now, that means I don't have to go down. That'd be
Right, let's call it now. Let's call it now. So 3 o'clock kickoff down at Stamford Bridge. Anybody going?
Yes,
Joe, you'll be going.
Let's just get a load of fake snow, chuck it down, and we don't have to play. We'll just call it off.
Yeah. Are we worried about? Are we?
Of course.
Yeah, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
To be honest, I worry we might get panned.
Yeah.
Well, I think even if we do, any game against the top 3 that they're going to be, I'm not interested in what the score is.
No.
Them teams are light years ahead of everyone else.
Yep.
And
you also
it is what it is.
You look at the fixtures.
Yeah.
You look at the next 4. So you go what? Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool.
I'm sick of playing Arsenal as well. I'm sick of playing
But you like you just said, those 3 of those 4 teams are probably the best in the country, arguably 3 of the best in Europe, and they're all away from home.
Yes.
So I think you just go in it with no expectations.
Yeah.
If you get anything out of it, you just smile.
Yeah.
And
I hope the players. I hope the players see it like that as well.
I also don't subscribe to this. Oh God, I don't want to play them. Like
well, they have to
Yeovil away. All riddle is it's not Yeovil away.
You're in the Premier League.
That's it.
You want to play these teams. This is why Leeds United toiled for 16 years to get back here. So I think there is an element of just embrace it.
Yeah, it's
and
enjoy
then
it.
you also think that we took, I worked this out earlier, we took 10 points off the top 6 last year.
4 of those were against City, weren't they?
I actually think I'm going to stick my neck out online. I think we'll get some points from this next run of 4 games. Where they come or how they come.
Arsenal at home, yeah.
Arsenal at home.
Have we ever lost more than 3 in a row?
Well, this is the thing as well. I was saying, me and Graham were talking about the fixtures before. I think we were on the way back from Brighton because we had about 7 hours.
Nice, isn't it? It's a good journey. That.
But we were saying like everything's always worse in your head before it happens.
Yeah.
And how often is it that teams lose 4 or 5 in a row?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll sit here in 6 weeks and say, balls, that's happened. But it is a fairly rare occurrence.
Yeah.
You could tell us that we went to Spurs and there was that team that came out and we thought, oh, we're done for here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then arguably, if we would have had some of our better players playing, we might have gone on to win or at least get a draw there, and they just managed to turn it on in the second half and beat us. But and anything can happen, and we showed that last year.
I'm with you, Ben. I think against these attacking up and teams, they'll press us to death. But I'm just excited to just see us play attacking football again and just go with it. And just be a bit more open and energetic.
Attacking like young boys and scoring against Manchester United.
Yeah. The raggy neck renaissance is
right goal, that.
That's a great finish. Anyway,
not as good as Luke Ayling's finish at that place.
No, obviously not. Do you know something as well? Like, I think it might benefit the players. The players will be well aware that they're not expected to take points from these, and I think that they might not feel the pressure as much as. I probably regret this if pumpers for 5 on Sunday, but on Saturday, sorry, but
if they do, they do. It's all about points really for us, isn't it?
Yeah. So Raggy's not here this week, so we're not going to do his predictor per se, but I am going to go down the line and ask for just a result, and then we'll make sure when Raggy listens back to the podcast, because he will, win it.
Yeah.
No, he won't. But we'll make sure he jots it down. So Mike, Stamford Bridge, Leeds versus Chelsea. What are you going for?
Well, we can't seem to score. Ever. I mean, we struggle to score 2, don't we? Probably like 3-1 Chelsea, 4-1 Chelsea.
Mike the Bastard is
Mike
back.
the Bastard's back.
I think, I'm
Back
just
with a
trying to be
bang.
a realist.
We'll leave Joe at end because he's our guest. Old Ben, straight on whoscored.com, the oracle of all football and knowledge.
I just want to know what they say about Chelsea.
Kick it in the net.
Strength, everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, no,
They
because
have got no weaknesses according to Score.com.
they do, because if you who did they play the other week and they just could not score, and if that happens against us,
0-0 draw. Happy
yeah,
days.
but
Burnley they struggled against.
yeah,
Watford.
I'm
what
going
is
to
it,
go 2-1
Watford?
Leeds.
Watford, they only just beat.
Yeah,
Watford are a weird one.
but
Ben.
they're good at, very strong at scoring chances,
Obviously
finishing
not.
scoring chances, creating chances using through balls, creating chances through individual skill, attacking down the wings, shooting from direct free kicks, and defending set pieces.
Just on one before you make your
They
prediction.
don't have any weaknesses.
I'd actually like to see Raf up against Marcus Alonso, because if Ben Chilwell's missing, it'll be Alonso playing, you'd imagine, in
Fucking
his place.
hell,
I'd
yeah.
actually like to see Raf
How old
against
is he?
him.
34 now or something?
Something like that.
Yeah. Jeez.
I'd like to see that. And
Yeah.
will Rodrigo and Alonso have played together at Bolton as well, on a slight side note?
Potentially.
Yeah. Anyway, Ben, go on. What are you going for?
2-1 Leeds.
2-1.
Fair.
Fair. I'm going to go...
That's what I've gone with for
I'm
about
going to
3
go
months.
for a 1-1. I'm going to go for a
It's
1-1.
all 2-1s all season.
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, me.
Yeah.
1-1 draw down there. What are you going for, Joe?
2-0 Chelsea.
2-0. Brings us back down to earth with a bump. So yeah, we'll...
I go we lose on here and then we'll win. So
is that your reverse psychology
Yeah,
type
It's
thing?
my
is it?
reverse psychology when I'm
Yeah.
getting on
Yeah.
the train at 7 in the morning to go down to Kingscote.
Yeah. Raggy will be back next week to obviously pick up the mess that we leave behind. That is his predictor. He'll be able
We've
to
got
tell us
another
who's
one.
doing what and where. And
Have we
when
got
and
another
how.
We've got City on Tuesday.
Oh, City on Tuesday.
I was
Double
gonna say, yeah.
game week. So City. Oh God.
And their strength list is even longer.
Yeah. And their weakness list is even shorter, which is terrifying.
Oh no, they're
Oh, no,
weak.
they had none.
They're weak at avoiding offside,
Oh,
like
no.
Dan James
And aerial duels.
Aerial duels.
Yeah. What's ours at interest? Finishing scoring chances, agree.
Yeah.
Avoiding individual errors, double agree. Protecting the lead, yeah. Defending against through ball attacks.
That's a weird one, isn't it? That protecting the lead. It's been so good under Bielsa
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Leeds. I mean, that this year I think I saw a stat the other day. It's like double the amount over the last compared to the last 2 seasons.
the amount of times we go 1-0 up and then just
Because there came a point where the first goal was so crucial for Leeds, like either before or behind, where it essentially would decide the result. There was obviously the rare occasion, but this year it seems it's gone out the window.
Yeah, it does. What else we got on there? Avoiding fouling in dangerous areas. Yeah, that drives me insane a little bit. But that is also dependent who the referee is, because most of them are shit.
I do know this.
Who is it? Who is
Chris Kavanagh.
Chris Kavanagh.
Maybe I've just plucked that
Don't
out,
jump out as being overly terrible, but I'm sure he will be.
Or I've just seen his name
Yeah.
on the Premier League list. But
So-
it's not David Coote, so that's a positive.
Jesus Christ, honestly.
Card happy, innit? Card happy.
Card happy and terrible.
yeah.
Just terrible. You always know refs are going to be bad when they dish your booking out inside first 4 minutes, because you think you've started this now.
Usually Furpo, innit? He's not done out.
I know football's obviously tribal and everyone thinks every referee is against you, but when a referee is universally panned, I think you know that generally he's just quite a poor match official.
Yeah, Coote and Pawson are my 2 favourite shithouses at the minute,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Mike Dean.
So we'll go reverse order now, Ben. Man City. What are you going for? Tuesday night, Man City.
2-1 Leeds.
Take it serious. Mike the Bastard.
Oh, fucking hell.
It'll be a bastard result, this. It'll be like 5-1
of course it
City,
will.
isn't
Well, we lost to Liverpool 3-0, didn't we? So 3-1 City.
Okay, you're giving us a goal. Sound. I'm going to go for
I'm not.
I'm going to go for 1-1. Again, 1-1 draw.
Unbelievable.
Joe, hit us with some truth bombs.
0-0.
That would be incredible. I'd be like the Alamo. It would be the Alamo.
I would snap
I'd take
your hand
that.
off for a
It
point.
would be
right?
legit the
If
Alamo,
Leeds,
though, wouldn't
you know what? I know Bielsa never. If Leeds just parked 11 men in front of it and just went,
We
aren't
kind of did
moving."
last year at City, didn't we?
Well, yeah, but that's because Cooper got sent off. Didn't he?
And we had no other choice. It was literally,
Yes.
you're not coming out of your area.
Yeah, it wasn't through choice. It was just City doing triangles.
Let Stones have it. It was that, wasn't it? Let Stones have it, and we'll try and nick it off him.
That
and
was
Stuart Dallas scores.
Where was everyone when that goal went in? Because that was behind closed doors, wasn't it?
I was at home. Screaming the
I
house.
watched
down.
it. I watched it on telly and volleyed my footrest in the front room. I remember.
I collapsed
Graham,
in disbelief.
Graham got the got that one.
Got the gig, did he?
Well, he's chief, right? I mean,
The thing is, though,
he's the big dog.
The big cheese.
the thing is, they were, in hindsight, amazing, but they were horrible games to watch. Both fixtures against Man City. You remember the home fixture, the first half?
Do you know what?
It was
I
all
don't, I
great
don't
game
think
if you
any
weren't-
game last year particularly bothered me. I kind of just took everything in my stride and thought, it's been so long since we've been here. I don't really care. And
I know,
because we,
I couldn't
I
watch
didn't like
that.
it.
The first City game at home, they just pressed us and had the ball in our half the whole half.
I don't know if it was
my stomach was turning.
not being in the ground or whatever.
I was about to say
Yeah.
there's definitely an element of being removed
Yeah.
and watching it through a screen because
Yeah.
that game,
Which
was
is weird because I sort of, before we went back into the grounds this year, I kind of got used to watching us on telly,
Yeah.
and it was weird being in the ground. But
Yeah.
now it's like I've never not been in the ground.
There's a sense of like helplessness when you like detachment. You're watching it on the TV. Like you can't do out. It's like you're watching a highlight.
Well, you can't really do it in the stand other than say the shit.
There
Throw
and
2-pint pots at
you
Callum.
feel it, and you know. Yeah.
In fairness,
You
you,
can
say
throw
that, but I think there has been 2 or 3 times this season where Ellen Road has basically gone, nah, we're not accepting this result. And
Yeah.
tried
Yeah,
to
that's
drag,
what I mean.
and
Yeah,
drag the team through.
Yeah.
I think they've really needed that this year.
Yeah,
and I think Phil might have even been talking about this recently, but I agree with it. In previous years, I think the money in the bank this team has would have maybe been a bit more whining in the stands, you know, in games. And maybe that's just because Championship, it was crap, League One, it was rubbish. But and the way that this team does have plenty of credit, I think the fans have been a huge credit to the football club. They've dragged them through.
We got them that point against that first home game against Everton. We got the team
the
that
Wolves
point.
game as well. I think.
Yeah.
I know
The
it was
Wolves game,
Joffrey with a bit of brilliance, but the Wolves game, the stands were even 20 minutes to go were bouncing. I know the crap housing from Wolves was up there.
Cody
It's
again.
PG. Yeah.
was a huge element of riling up the supporters, but there's definitely been elements of that this year, almost like Ailing-esque, you know, where he dragged Leeds kicking and screaming into that sort of promotion race at the end of the Championship. Almost like the fans have taken that on at times this year, and it's been to be fair, I've enjoyed every game at Ellen Road this season, whether they've won, lost or whatever.
Moving on then, before we get our Shithouse of the Week nominations, there'll be some ones that'll not surprise many people on there.
Yeah.
But a shout out to the winner of the Talking Shutt Player of the Month award for
Adam Forshaw.
November is Adam Forshaw.
Yeah.
We'll send him some in post. We're actually not allowed to go near him because last time he came on show, he was then out for 2 years. And just recently,
No, he was still injured then, wasn't
yeah, he just got injured
Well,
before.
back then,
He said he was going to be back for Luton, if you remember.
he? Yeah.
And then we never saw him again.
I mean, what was his transfer value back then? Just
4.5 million-ish.
yeah. What is it now? 40 million.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
50.
So
60.
we ain't getting near him.
And also,
60
this
million.
this was pointed out to me that we had Adam Forshaw on Talking Shutt, and then we never saw him for 2 years. And
Yeah.
my son was very lucky enough to meet Liam Cooper on Friday to have his shirt signed that he got from Brighton, and then he tweaked his hamstring. So maybe it's actually anything
Yeah,
related
it's
to
a
Talking
curse.
Shutt just kills players. So we're all off down to is it Cobham, the Chelsea trainer? We're off down to Cobham tomorrow to try and drop on some players.
Take some binoculars and secateurs.
Stand outside asking for signatures.
Yeah, could do, yeah. So get some Shithouse of the Week nominations when Ben gets the jingle up.
Shithouse of the Week.
So this week's nominations for Shithouse of the Week, no surprise. Sergio
I
Canos.
was going to say, do we even need to go past
Yeah,
the
I'm
first
not even
nomination?
going to mention why, but Sergio Canos. We'll just put Sergio Canos.
He
in
is
there.
an asshole.
He's a proper dickhead.
What
isn't he?
an asshole.
I've never liked him since they
He's a
buttered
very
Ali
good
Oscar.
footballer, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not bad at
He's
football.
not.
He
He's not.
is.
He's not very. He's average.
He's playing in the Premier League.
He's average.
He's a very good
I
footballer.
like joking with you every week. Battle off, it's great. So we're bobbing him in there. Gabby Agbonlahor chirped up again today.
I think that's
Has
too
he?
early to
What's
move on
what's
from
he said
Canos.
now?
Sorry, let's go back to Canos and then I'll tell you what he said.
right,
The great
So
dick.
I guess it goes on to referees a bit as well. How did referees let that happen after the first goal, where obviously they didn't get as much of a thing, but
Oh, it still went over and
they intentionally went into the other corner and knew they were going to get some shit there because how it's happened before with them.
every
They've been in there.
goal Brentford have scored at Ellen Road, they've never celebrated in front of their own fans.
No.
Never.
Yeah, but it's because they're a small, insignificant club, and even the players there know that they play for a small, insignificant club, so they make the most of the moment.
I don't want my email box full of besotted Brentford
Distancing
Stuff.
myself from this.
Why?
because you're slagging them off like that and being what was
They're
the
a
word?
Premier League club, Gary.
A bus stop
very
in
good.
Hounslow is
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
They're really good.
But you have to be nice to other
I'm
teams.
unaware of what's really gone off with Besotted and our friends at the Square Ball. What has actually gone off?
I think Square Ball, like they do, they were taking the piss and then Brentford didn't like it. Really didn't like it.
I'm not being funny. Football's tribal. It's
Yeah.
part
It's
for the
literally
course.
part of
Like,
the
just
game,
because you're
yeah.
going to get
Yeah.
outlawed
Just 'cause you're in
because
the
we say
Premier
your
League,
football
yeah.
team's shit,
Just 'cause you're in the
probably
Premier
But this is the
League.
whole thing. It's nice, Brentford,
But
and you have to
also-
be nice. And
Yeah.
this is the first. I said to my mate in the ground, the first 5 minutes, we're getting nothing today from this referee because it's nice, Brentford.
Yeah.
Do you know
But
something?
they're in the big boy league now.
Do you know something?
You can't just go, take us seriously.
I literally
Yeah.
ate a couple of clubs, could probably count one hand.
Yeah.
I just banter the shit out of the rest of them because that's what you do at football.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if you're going to get offended because you're getting bantered, maybe not
Maybe
get offended by it.
Yeah. Maybe find another
take it
sport.
for what it is, rather than getting offended.
So anyway,
yeah,
Canos is an asshole,
full blown.
and it was very good that someone whacked a pint pot off his head.
Do you know something? He is a little bit like
Clip that
He's
up.
a little bit like Klitsch. He's a little bit like Klitsch for us.
Yeah.
As in, like, if he plays for you, you go, yeah, what a shit house, love that.
Yeah.
But if he plays against you, you fucking hate
It's
it.
like Thomas Frank, isn't it?
Yeah, Thomas Frank.
If Thomas Frank's your manager, you love it.
Except his chewing gum is very offensive
But
to my face.
that's a thing that.
Would you take Thomas Frank at Leeds?
No.
No.
Can't not doing that
you-
floppy hair and
you're-
not chewing
You're,
gum.
you're using your hatred as a coach, though.
You've got to appreciate what
I think
he's
he's a
done.
very good coach.
Yeah,
I
obviously.
know there's history there. Don't
Yeah.
worry. Anyway, we'll move on.
It's a bit of a step down.
No, you're right. You've got to appreciate his ability as a coach. I mean, he's done well at Brentford, hasn't he? But I could not see him stood at Ellen Road chewing that chewing gum, clapping cop, to be honest.
We won't get behind him.
All it would take is like one
Oh,
moment
of course,
of heat, and then he gives the lead salute, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
everything's
Got
fine.
him, yeah. Well, listen, we're like fickle bastards.
So
That's what football
knee-jerk,
is, isn't it?
yeah.
You know
That's
what I
what
mean?
knee-jerk.
It's
The thing is, I don't try and hide it. We are very fickle. You know what I mean? Like, well, let's be honest, Dan James, played for the old enemy.
Yeah.
If he starts scoring loads of goals, we'll love him. So it's just
To be
like,
fair, we've been very easy on him considering that, he's an ex-scumbag.
Yeah, but he never really wanted to go there, did he?
No, he got
He got
bullied
dragged there
to do that.
kicking and
Yeah.
screaming.
He
Yeah.
wanted to be at Leeds. Anyway.
He only went because it was money, and obviously you're not going to turn that down. And then he's obviously come back to us anyway because that's where he wanted to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also,
So
it's not like he's a massive hero to them, is it?
No,
Like
they didn't even.
he-
They didn't really like
He
it.
started well, and
Did
then
they?
he became the scapegoat.
Yeah,
because he
did,
scored a few goals at the start of his career, and then he became like Tyler Roberts.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You know, he got hammered a lot
Yeah.
for just being.
He got
like,
blamed for everything, didn't he?
Yeah.
Basically.
For being Welsh.
Yeah.
I
Ollie,
wouldn't say it was Welsh.
Ollie were talking him through some.
I thought that's what you just got with Tyler Roberts. But
bloody
yeah.
Beverly,
No,
isn't
just meant for the way that Leeds fans hammer Roberts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's on there, obviously. Canos. I want to add Brentford fans are getting outraged about what's been said on a podcast as well. To be honest, if you're going to get outraged about fans
Yeah.
sticking up for their club,
You're
and
in the
hammering your
Premier
club,
League.
you just-
You're in the big boy league, so you get big boy banter. That's just how it
The
is.
thing as well is, you'd say if Leeds don't score that goal, would they have been acting like angels? As
No.
well? Exactly.
No, we'd have been getting
Doesn't
panned.
matter.
It's how it goes, isn't it?
It's
On
football.
us scoring that goal, it's 2 games in a row where cheats haven't won.
Yeah.
Which is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
good.
It feels cleansed that we scored that.
Yeah.
It's only fair.
It is poetic justice.
All
It
is right in the
It's
world.
only fair.
Yeah.
Sergio Canis is on there. Gabriel Bonlahor. So he's come out he's come out just
plus-
today and said that if Leeds and Newcastle get relegated, he will do a backstroke down the Thames.
What is it, right?
He's obsessed.
Villa and Brentford. What's the connecting thing?
Obsessed.
Dean Smith.
Yeah. No, but even before that, Bonlahor had a problem with Leeds
Ollie
prior.
Watkins.
But he's just obsessed.
Yeah.
Obsessed. It's bordering like that ex. that jilted ex. I even did some research.
Did he
If
happen to
he
say this on a national radio station?
Yeah, funnily enough, yeah.
And does that national radio station work on being,
Correct,
pure
yeah.
outrage? So
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
surprise.
No,
Who's,
there's not.
who's the pundit with the curly hair, the Irish guy?
Oh, Keith Andrews.
Yeah.
Formerly famous on this show, any Keith Andrews. Remember,
Yeah.
we used to pan
But
him
it's the
regularly.
same thing. Like,
There's nobody now.
did we reject a Bonglahor in like a transfer sometime?
We did actually nearly sign Keith Andrews, and
Yeah.
that's why he was jilted.
That's why he's jilted. Yeah.
No,
I
no.
think-
Bonglehar just played for Villa because he came through their academy. He was a hometown guy and he was never really good enough.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they
all
only
kind of-
played him. It was like, like on the film Meme Machine,
Yeah.
and you've got the one that Danny Dyer plays.
Yeah. All right.
That was a bit like a Bonglehar.
right. That's
Yeah.
yeah. But they've all disowned him now. Anyway, all Villa fans have disowned him.
Have they? Why?
We are not responsible for what
Have
he
they?
says. And,
Ah,
yeah.
To be fair, they know what they're doing. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
They know what they're doing. And the final one that might come as a surprise to a few people is the UK government. So deciding to
I mean, no
have
surprise to me.
an enormous
No, yeah,
Christmas
exactly.
party while all us lot are at home, like Zooming and FaceTiming his family from various situations, and to even make it worse, people with loved ones in hospital and stuff like that, and all the horrible stuff that's been coming out the last couple of days. Well, basically they had a big party in number 10, laughed about it, And then also, if I were Boris, I'd be fuming that they had a party in his flat and he didn't get an invite according to today's PMQs.
Is it a surprise?
Wow, just unbelievable. Anyway,
Would you
I
invite
really,
Boris to a party?
No.
Would you go to that party
No,
as well?
no, I don't like going to parties in general, but never mind one of them. But so yeah, so they're in there.
I'm sure he brings some good narcotics.
Allegedly. Allegedly. There's going to be a
Moving
full and thorough investigation into that, Ben. I think we'll find the government have said this week.
It's retrospective, I think, is the word the police have used, so they're not looking into it.
Yeah.
So we'll say the same for that.
Yeah, we'll say.
I'd invite him to, like a prank party, like a party where nobody else turns up.
You've got to be dressed as a Smurf, and
It's
then Boris
closed
turns up
as well,
and you're not a Smurf.
Yeah.
Basically.
There's no party booked for tonight, mate. What are you doing?
So anyway, they're the any other nominations we want to chuck in? I've got a very famous food processing brand who are borderline ending up in Shithouse of the week.
Go on.
They've got like the rest of this week to redeem themselves.
No,
of
go
what
now.
they've done. Ninja Shark. Do you know what hurts even more? They're a Leeds company, believe it or not.
Is it Shark Ninja?
I ordered a Actifryer about 3 weeks ago, and I've had no hiding here from them. Not a thing.
No, you've been robbed.
Yeah.
I haven't.
How did you pay?
Was it
Western
definitely
Union.
the right website?
No, it's definitely. I've rang them. Definitely the right website, and they said white website.
Yeah.
Definitely the right website.
You
but-
pay by leaving cash in a brown envelope.
Yeah,
in
under-
a dead drop.
Anyway, so they're close, but they're not in it yet. So we're giving it to lads, Canos, Agbon Lahore, or the UK government.
I was going Canos, but I think my thoughts on the UK government are quite well known. So I'm a bit torn.
Yeah.
It's on me. It's stuck. Let's ask Mike.
They're both arseholes.
Yeah. God.
To be honest, this is going somewhere. I would say that I'd prefer a Canos than that government.
Who'd be a better PM? Canos or Boris Johnson?
Yeah, shadow of a doubt. Canos,
Yeah.
I'd like to maybe think with the way Canos acted, he's got a bit more balls than Boris Johnson.
Canos would have a tits up, knees up.
Tits up?
Whoa, where's this going?
A knees up party, but we'd all be invited.
Yeah, true.
Whereas it's not like a closed.
I wouldn't try and
you
hide
know,
it.
Yeah,
And he
wouldn't-
certainly wouldn't be best mates with Demon Headmaster either.
No,
Smog.
God.
Friends with him.
He's
Anyway,
just as bad.
who are we giving it to, Mike?
Oh God.
Who do you want to give it to? I know it's a tough one.
I've got to go with government. I don't like to get political, but
No, we don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for anybody, we do not have any political affiliation on this podcast.
yeah,
We just have a problem with them.
And Tories.
hypocrites.
Yeah. Joe, who would you like to nominate? You can chuck a curveball in there if you want.
No, I don't really have anything other than Christmas shopping. That's a shithouse
Oh,
of
it's
the
a bad
week.
time of year for that as well.
Yeah, I'll go Canos because it's shithouse of the week.
Yes,
And
yeah.
It was very shithouse behaviour. So
I did have a
think it's
good
the
shit house of the
definition.
week, but I forgot.
Do
who
we
it
do a
was.
shit house of the year? Because the government
We
could be
used
in
to
for
do
that.
it. We did last year, didn't we? We did a shit house of the year last year. I can't remember who got
Was it
it.
Christmas?
Probably COVID.
Christmas party or something?
I did have a good shit house this week.
Christmas
but
quiz.
It's eluded me.
As Russell says, maybe the shit house of the year last year was the camel spider.
No, listen, the camel spider's become
camel spider.
the
Didn't go
camel
out wrong.
spider's become infamous for this podcast now. Really. In fact, it's become that infamous. When we do Christmas quiz on 22nd, Ben's coming to my house just to sort out the technical issues when I fuck it up after 3 pints of Carlin.
Anyway,
Anyway,
have to start the quiz again, and everybody knows the answers.
Yeah, they enjoyed it though. We still give the prizes out.
Yeah.
In fact, we gave the prizes to the bloke who won post Spider and the bloke who was winning pre Spider. So that's how nice we are.
Pre-
So, yeah, take that.
I'm
Pre-
gonna
post-Spider.
stick it to football and say Canos.
Canos.
'cause it's
Yeah,
a
let's
nice
go
one.
with Canos.
Canos,
man.
Canos. Yeah,
Shithouse doesn't describe how bad the other nomination is,
Yeah.
does it really? So
So yeah, we'll go with Sergio Canos. Congratulations,
Yeah.
you've won Shout Outs of the Week. Besotted podcast, please don't shout us. Kind of wrapping up the Mike. Mike, what's going down at the terrace? They're busy buddies at this time of year. I keep seeing
very.
posts from the guys who are like sleeping in back of vans and that,
Yep.
backing orders up to go
I
out.
was on.
So
I was
securing.
working from home until about 8 last night.
Nice.
But they've got me doing kit mugs now. I was telling Ben. So I am actually designing the request a kit feature on the
Are you,
website.
mate?
Yeah. So any requests that come through there.
Oh, I'm definitely
come
banging some
straight
requests
to
in
me.
here.
Well, yeah, you'd be paying my wages.
Bishop
the-
Auckland, 97.
You won't believe this.
I want that.
The very. Can I get any pictures of it?
Nope.
No.
Nope, find it.
But the very first one I was requested to do was the yellow Leeds United 2001 Champions League strip.
Oh yeah, good
Which was
one.
nice. And I was just
Joe,
like,
if you were to request a mug, what would it be? Which shirt? Which was
good
your
question.
favourite shirt?
Oh, what? Does it have to be a Leeds shirt?
No, you can have any shirt.
No,
mate.
I think it'll have to be
I mean,
Leeds.
considering you're on a Leeds podcast and a Leeds fan,
it'd be the Brentford
Maybe.
94.
It'll be the Sergi Canos. what's my oh my god.
With like beer
Do you know
stains
what?
on
I
it.
love the the blue and yellow checks. With the like the
Admiral.
the Admiral.
I've got that shirt.
They wore it for like 2 years, didn't they? Away from
It
home.
took me ages to do that.
All
Next,
right, let's get it.
It took
Let's
me
get
ages
it
to
in.
do that.
Yeah, we'll bob it in later, Joe. Here's a ring, we'll sort
Put
it.
it in. Put it in
4
now.
hours later.
Ben, what would yours be? What would your request to kit mug be?
I need a new one actually.
Yeah, you actually brought yours, didn't you? Brought
Yeah.
your Talking Shutt one.
I think they already do it, but I like the blue and yellow half shirt from '98.
Yeah, I like that shirt.
I think Terrace should send me
It
one
was
of
a
them.
cotton. It was like a weird cotton texture as well. That shirt, if you
Yeah.
remember, it weren't like nylon. It was like
Yeah.
a weird cotton, from what I remember.
Was
I
that?
mean, what I should have said is the YEP one. But
Oh, standard, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I've
I missed
got.
a trick
To be
You
fair,
getting sacked in the morning.
I've ordered myself a few mugs, and that's one of them. The YEP one. I've got that with 4 batty
will you
on,
get any
on the
freebies?
back. Yeah, for Christmas we need to do some giveaways and stuff, don't we?
I'll give you
Whenever
a
we
retweet and all that. Influencer.
me and
Hashtag influencer.
Tag influence. Yeah, whenever me and Gary get a chance to go down, I'll email ahead and make sure we've got some Leeds stuff. But I've ordered the yellow Top Man, but it's all yellow with the yellow handle as well, and it looks really nice. And that's got 11 speed on the back, and then I've got the yellow Strongbow with 5 Radaby.
Nice.
I was going to say I
Getting
tend
a right
to
little
associate like the kits with the players.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I
think that's it.
What else is going down at Terrace other than kit mugs? With
Um,
Christmas around, you can get some
well, we
Christmas
do.
tree decorations, which
Yeah.
I've still not ordered.
Yeah,
But I will do.
Christmas jumpers as well, which again, I'll say it again, are better than the ones in the Leeds United club shop.
Which also,
Like,
if my son's
more
watching, you're not
bespoke.
having one.
Yeah, it's more. To be fair, the Terrace stuff is more bespoke
That's Santa
because
for it.
there's an actual design team behind
Next year.
everything, of which I'm part now, full time. So we're on hand, to do bespoke stuff. And
Have you been called up to into Terrace yet? The 5-side team that Carl
no,
runs.
I mean, I'd be an all right goalkeeper still.
It's a long old journey though, mate.
Yeah.
You'd want paying your fuel. Be like non-league, wouldn't it?
I'd be on train
From here
or
to Banbury.
private plane.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
It's the ball in that much, some private play.
I'm that good a goalkeeper. Then I turn up and like Rugby.
Oh, no.
No, prime Paul Robinson. That's
Yeah,
me.
exactly going with.
But yeah, no, we've got like gift boxes and like I say, anything's bespoke. We're fan led, so if you want anything that's specific to you, has a specific memory, like Joe said, references a specific player, then we do what we can to, it's fan driven at the end of the day.
So yeah, go check them out. Terrastore.com, I think it is, Mike, isn't it? Terrastore.com. And a big thanks to Carl and the guys for continuing to support us on our little journey. Keep your eyes drawn to our YouTube if you're not already a
I'm
subscriber.
not sure this is a Terrace thing, but John B's ordered some 49ers shoulder pads.
From the Terrace, can you get
No.
49 shoulder pads?
No.
What about pirate people?
Do
Can you get
you
one?
remember when the
We're not
49ers
licensed.
first came in and was it Kmart Roof and Peacock
Yes.
Farrell had the
Yeah.
merch on?
Yeah.
They should get some of that in the...
Yeah, that'd be
the
quite
old
Yeah,
interesting.
in the Leeds. Yeah.
The old
Wasn't there like
hats.
a really awkward video of them like tossing the old pigskin round?
Yeah,
on
they were,
Thor
yeah.
Parks, and I was just like,
It was
that's
weird
not
because it
right.
got announced and nothing happened.
Peacock Farrell
It
dropped
just
it.
vanished,
Yeah.
innit?
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you something, best goalkeeper in League One according to Sheffield Wednesday manager at the moment.
Oh, he
One
won
apparently
one of the
that's his
matches.
level.
man at match
Apparently
were
had
there
a
for them.
blinder last night.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of episode 172. As I was just saying, keep your eyes across our YouTube page, as we have got a little video going to pop up in the next maybe week or so, Mike, won't it, when we get to end it together. Bit of a feel good thing. So yeah, get across that. Make sure you subscribe. We're nearly at 1,000 subscribers, I think, which is obviously quite small fry in relation to a lot of people. But
I think we're like
happy.
34 off now.
We're 34 off. Come on, go subscribe now. A massive thanks to Joe for coming down to Kelly's Bar at Osset and joining us for your hat trick.
No worries.
Thanks, mate, for coming
very
back
much
again.
for having us.
Surprised you've not deleted his number after its second appearance, to be honest, but it's all good that you're here.
Sorry, I haven't got injured or anything.
That's
since
it, mate.
you,
Yeah. Just be careful on your way out.
Yeah, I will do, yeah.
So a big thanks to Ben.
To be fair, it's sometimes
a
a
bit-
bit
I
slippy out
slept
there.
last
I
year,
nearly,
yeah. Last
I
week,
nearly
so.
went last week as well.
Yeah. So a big thanks to old Ben, who's here, technical as ever. Big thanks to Mike the Bastard for being a bastard in the Raggish Predictor and continuing his great work with mugs and stuff. And we'll see you next week for episode 173, when hopefully we're discussing some positivity from Chelsea and Manchester City coming up.
Yes.
And also don't forget, 22nd of this month, live from our bedrooms, the Talking Shutt Christmas quiz with added spiders.
Is it going to be me and you sat on your bed?
Me and you.
That'd be a bit weird,
Me and
wouldn't
you
it?
on my bed. That's what's happening.
Cool.
Yeah.
Manscaped.
Manscaping. So yeah, 22nd October, tune in. There'll be some gifts to give away and stuff, and we'll just try and make it a bit of banter, and we'll probably just get drunk on the internet as we normally do.
Yeah.
So thanks again to Joe, thanks to these guys, and I'll see you there.
See you there.
See you there.